Welcome back to the show, everyone. Always a pleasure to see our next guest, especially when I'm not in hard labor.
Well, if you didn't see the beginning of the show, that deserves an explanation that we're not going to give you.
Yeah.
Dr. Duncan is joining us now.
Dr. Duncan.
Dr. Junction is joining us now. Dr. Chunking is joining us now. I'm going to keep trying.
Hi, Dr. Chunking.
Well, thanks. How are you doing?
Nice to see you.
So we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things today. But let's start with flu shots.
Flu shots, yeah, it's flu shot season. Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of flu activity yet, but that's just as well. But flu shots are out, and I strongly encourage everybody to get them, especially if you have young kids or care for elderly parents.
Or if you just don't want to get the flu.
Yeah, or if you're into pain. No, actually, they don't hurt that much. So
They don't hurt, but your arm does hurt after.
Yeah, just you kind of begrudge your doctor as you roll over and sleep on that arm at night. But
now, a lot of people think the flu shots give you the flu. Debunk that myth.
There is nothing in it that can cause illness. It's just like, it's like seeing a photocopy of a hardened criminal as opposed to having the hardened criminal in your living room, right?
That's
the difference.
That's exactly the same as the flu shot.
So it kind of just goes, this is a bad actor, look for him if he enters your bloodstream. It's not that bad actor in your bloodstream.
Drive doctors a little bit crazy. I mean, all the stuff that goes around.
All the time. Yeah. I got the flu shot and I've never been so sick in my life. And it's like, well,
maybe
it's the time of year, look at the weather outside, it's not exactly tanning weather, right?
Yeah, don't blame this.
There's lots of bugs for
this.
But it is the time of year where people get on planes and want to go tanning elsewhere. And there's all sorts of other things that you should take care of. Let's talk about hepatitis and what you can do to prevent that.
So hepatitis. So hepatitis is a nasty piece of work that affects your liver.
Yeah.
And the three main types of hepatitis are A, B, and C. Very complicated.
Yeah.
There is no vaccine for C.
And C is the bad one.
C and B are both very, quasi-evil. A is probably the most likely one you're going to get because it's
you hear about Hep A outbreaks every now and then.
I love saying it's fecal-oral transmission.
Excellent.
Thank you for saying that, Dr. Chunkin.
how you get that. So, if you haven't peeled it, cooked it, or boiled it, you should leave it.
We're talking about food.
Food, yes. Yes. Okay. And otherwise, just leave it in general.
A lot of people, we're talking about outbreaks. It can happen at restaurants.
It can happen
but why
here.
is it worse when you travel? Because people are always talking about getting the hep shots before you travel.
Well, I guess it's to do with sanitation in the places that you're at. And
if you're traveling in some other countries.
Yeah, in other countries. But even, you can get it here if you eat in a lot of restaurants here.
Yeah.
And people don't wash their hands. They've been doing their business.
And then away you go.
Barking out the haggis comes back to haunt you.
And peel it, wash it. What was it? Boil it. That's the other one. Hep B.
Hep B is through blood and bodily fluids.
Okay.
So if you're into a little nookie on your holidays, in addition to wearing condoms, using condoms, have a Hep B shot.
Now, what about tattoos and that sort of thing?
And tattoos,
you hear it that way as well.
tattoos. So I wouldn't ever get a tattoo in another country just because,
you have no sense of adventure.
I know, I'm a bit of a wiener. But so tools that come into contact with blood, if they're not properly cleaned, they can stick on that instrument and go into your bloodstream.
And Hep B's nasty.
Hep B is like 10% fatality rate.
Really?
And, 1% it's fulminant, like full-blown acute death. The other are sort of, sorry to interrupt, but I'm just going to go for the jugular. The other, you sort of get scarring or cirrhosis or liver cancer.
Wow.
And plus you can't drink alcohol.
What is the difference between full-blown acute death and death?
Well, full-blown acute death is like, you get sick and you stay sick.
He's a doctor.
Yeah.
Well, you get sick, you stay sick, and then you succumb.
Then you die.
Whereas sort of gradual death is that you get it, you overcome it, but then it sticks in your body, and then years later, you develop
liver cancer,
of your
things
liver.
like that. What are the symptoms? I mean, when you have Hep A or perhaps Hep B.
Well, you feel sicker than a dog. You can get jaundice or turn yellow, and often your pee becomes very dark because you're not dealing with your bile. So you pee tea-colored urine, and your stools are like this color, like chalk colored. Very nice chamois.
So we're currently
and no
sitting
appetite,
on
abdominal pain. You feel really ill. And then the last customer is hepatitis C, for which there is no vaccine.
How do you get it?
Well, that's through sharing needles is the most common thing. Tainted blood before they used to, check for
blood.
it. And if you were to get a blood transfusion, heaven forbid, in a foreign country, you know, that's a possibility.
Vampirism, things like
and again, you know, through sex, and you should always practice safe sex, but it's probably a bit harder to get Hep C than hepatitis B, but still.
You don't.
But
You don't
A and B you can get.
A and B you can get vaccines for either separately or there is a combined product, which I won't really say because then it looks like I'm getting kickbacks, and sadly I'm not. But you know, it's a really easy thing to do, and you should do it, you know, well before you go away. Like ideally, you know, start 6 weeks before.
Yeah, because you have to get 3
minimum, like 2
shots.
weeks. Like
okay.
Really quick, because we're running out of time. Speaking of traveling, some people, when they go to places like Mexico, get traveler's diarrhea.
Yeah, and so there is something for. There's a couple of things you can do. A very runny haggis. There are 2 things you can do. Like one, you can take a oral vaccine for it,
I've done that.
And that's really easy. It tastes like drinking baking soda, but you do it twice, at least a couple weeks before. And then the other thing is you can take a probiotic, like something called Florastor. You just take it every day while you're there, and it absorbs toxins.
Yogurt's not good enough for.
Well, I mean, eating yogurt in a hot climate.
Good point, Dr. Duncan.
He's not just a doctor, he's a travel consultant as well.
Thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
Thanks, Doc.
Ask your doctor. That is the answer to every question.
Our couch is stool color. Just
only if there's something wrong with
only
you.
if there's something really wrong with you. So if.
Stop. We're going to take a break, and when we return, we're going to be chatting with Fred Lee about what is going on in the world of theater.
I have this thing I want to get you to check.
Sure.